Welcome to the Soapboxx Podcast. I'm your host, TJ Legacy, and this is our first show of the new year. We're talking power moves only in manifestation. Do you have the right moves to play your game in 2022? Let's discuss on Soapboxx.
Together we just the hottest. Pick a topic for discussion. We gon' rock it for the public. And be honest, this is nothing. Watch the progress, cause it's coming. This is everything you think, but you can't express. We a vessel of the people and innate interest. Can't put us in a box, though we play in chess. Kings and queens on the board, never say unless. I mean, entertaining and educating on my folks. Over the pod, and catch us at the live show. Live show? Live show? Live show? Yeah, the live show. Entertaining and educating on my folks.
Yes, welcome to the Soapboxx Podcast. I'm your host, TJ Legacy, and I'm here with the best co-host any host could ever ask for. Oh, we are here, full effect, 2022, back at it again. This is Chestnut Checkers, our episode for the Soapboxx Podcast. Make sure, Soapboxx Nation, you follow us, Soapboxx Podcast with 2X on all of your streaming services and our social media platforms. Without further ado, let's introduce our co-host all the way from Tallahassee, Florida. It's been a little minute, but she's back. What's going on, Just Giovanni? How you doing?
I'm doing good. It has been a little minute, but I'm definitely happy to be able to say I'm alive and healthy for 2022. You know, a lot of good things ahead, and I miss the Soapboxx Nation.
That's what's up. That's what's up. We missed you as well. You look refreshed. The skin is glowing and loving the dew in the shirt. And we are excited to get your insight for 2022 and beyond, Jay. So thank you for joining us. And all the way from up north, we got the lady of the north. What's going on, Jesse? What's popping?
What's popping? What's popping? My computer is a little delayed, so not starting the best on a new year, but I'm happy to be here and happy to see everyone's beautiful face.
Word. Happy to be here with you. We are better for it. And my man 50 grand. What's going on? Alan York. What's good, man? How you doing? Happy New Year.
Man, happy New Year, bro. I'm feeling good. Good. I messed around and got myself a little shape up the other day. You know what I'm saying? I was a little rusty and crusty, but I'm feeling rejuvenated. I'm feeling like myself, man. TJ, how you feeling? How you feeling for the new year? What's your spirit?
Listen, I'm feeling good, feeling great. New Year's was I had a good New Year's, man. I was in Miami, Florida. Shout out to Miami. This is my first time going to Miami as like a full-grown adult. Like I went one time when I was like 21. And it was like I only went for a day for my birthday in October, and I didn't even get a hotel. Like we went to a club, and I think I even slept on the beach, right? And I don't even think you're supposed to do that. But like this was my first time as an adult, like going to Miami, going to South Beach, you know, experiencing different restaurants, culture. Miami, and I know I'm late, so forgive me, Soapboxx Nation, where you're like people who get out. I didn't get out, you know, for a good portion of my life. I was struggling. So I couldn't go on vacations and do things like that. But Miami is a very, very sexy city. Miami is a sexy city with beautiful people and rich culture of all, like multicultural. Like I'm talking blacks, Haitians, Latinos, like international folks, like yo, Miami is it. Like I had a ball, but Miami is also one of the finessing ass towns that you will ever visit in your life if you don't watch or be careful, man. There are people trying to hustle and get you to buy things and get you to pay. You know, quick story. So I went to Miami, right? Went to a New Year's party. Was good to go. You know, everything was good. And then, bartender was like, yo, y'all should go to this strip club. And I was like, all right. So I headed over to the booby. Do I really want to give? Shit. I went to the booby trap, right? I was headed there, went to the Uber, little slossy. And, I was a little feeling a little good, a lot of Long Islands, you know what I mean? And so, I had myself a cigar, was living life to the fullest. And got to the door, you know, it was a long line, did the TJ thing, got to the front of the line, right? Without waiting, because, you know, I don't like lines. You guys know that. And then I got to the door, they patted me down, and the lady goes, I was like, what's the cover? And she said, $200. And I was like, I immediately sobered up. I said,
and this was New Year's weekend, right?
New Year's Eve. It was like New Year's Day, like New Year's Eve, like ball had dropped. We're going into overtime at this point when it comes to the New Year.
Sounds about right.
That makes sense. Yeah,
sounds about right.
Are y'all for real? I'm new.
Yeah.
I don't go out.
Miami, New Year's, that is like the peak party destination and day. I wouldn't expect anything less. They've tried to hit me for something similar on a regular Wednesday night, especially if you're not coming with any women, so that they try to overcompensate with the cover charge. Then they may or may not, make you buy a bottle or all type of stuff. But yeah, on New Year's Day, New Year's Eve, that 100% sounds right.
I thought at most I was like, yo, maybe it's gonna be like 100. I would have did 100. You know what I mean? I'm not a rich man. You know what I'm saying? I was gonna consider myself a poor man, but I was like $200 just to get in.
Yeah.
I'm like, porn is free. I can go online and just be like there's somebody, OnlyFans is like $25. I can go and subscribe to somebody, but yeah, I sobered up, and then I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna grab some food. Went around back to the strip club joint. Yo, I got two 6-piece chicken and some fries. $54. I was like, what? The most expensive chicken that I've had ever in my life. And I was just like, you know what? This is I'm one of those people that when you go on vacation, it's like, yo, you bring money or whatever. And it's not about having the funds, it's the principle of it. I was like, damn.
Was it delicious?
Yes, it was. It was actually
the chicken memorable.
Yo, it was actually really delicious. But I mean, when you're drunk and you are, in an Uber and you're eating chicken and it's late and that's like the thing that's filling you up, like you really don't care. It's like taste is just it ain't even it's out the window. Well, but yeah. So,
speaking of Miami, I was just looking at an article that actually voted Miami the healthiest city in the U.S. And notoriously, Miami has also been voted probably every year since the 90s the most shallow city in the U.S. Sure some sort of correlation between the two. But did you see a lot of like fit individuals? I can imagine the shallowness that goes on in a place like Miami.
There's a lot of beautiful people there. A lot of beautiful people. Everybody, I guess everybody's on the fitness tip, which is good. You know what I mean? So but the beaches if you there's a lot of women. When you go to a city like that, you forget like how diverse this world really is. Like if you kind of stay stuck in your own bubble and your own, hustle and bustle of what you do, like you forget that there's like women of all kinds and races and people and cultures and stuff like that. And you're like, wow. Like I met someone who came from, I think it was Austria to Miami for New Year's. And he was at like a black party. Like it was like nothing but black folks, but here's this white couple, blonde hair, blue eyes. They're just like, oh, we just showed up. We're going to be here for 5 days. We found this party and we're here.
Yeah.
And they were like, what are you drinking? I was just like, this here's a blue Long Island. I was feeling a little frisky.
Listen, Miami is like going to New York. It's like it's a New York with beaches and baddies.
Beaches and
that's what beaches and baddies. That's what you're gonna find in Miami. The beach and a whole bunch of baddies. You're gonna find that melatonin. You're gonna find those bodies. You're gonna find the natural curves. You're gonna find.
Oh, there's a lot of surgery there.
Surgery too. Surgery. You're gonna see it all, but you're gonna see the bathing suits, the naked bodies,
Miami
it's
is
an all-inclusive resort for whatever
Yes.
it is that you need. Like
I feel
the
like Miami.
sun, the palm trees, or the shopping experience, you can all get it in Miami.
Yeah, Miami is like real life Instagram. It's like the explore page on Instagram, but in real life.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh
like,
yeah, it's definitely number one city in the whole
we
world.
got to go back. We got to I was like, oh no, we got to.
And then you went to Booby Trap. Come on now, you know that's one of them. That's a main club. Booby Trap.
I didn't know. I'm not
okay.
frequent. I'm not a frequent
Booby Trap.
Yes, like I was like, whoever brand after, like I woke up the next day and I was like, man, the branding on that place is phenomenal. Like the marketing is just, but I didn't get to go in. So
and that's a celebrity night. It probably was celebrities in there.
There was celebrities around town. You know what's crazy? Because I went to the bowl game earlier in the night, right? The Michigan Wolverines played Georgia. We won the coin toss, and that was it. The rest of the game, it wasn't a great experience for Michigan Wolverine. I'm still proud of my team, but driving back like to the hotel, it passed midnight. And so as I'm on the highway, you could kind of see like the horizon of the Miami landscape, right? Or the skyline. And all you saw was like fireworks all over the city. It was one of the most beautiful things I've ever seen in my life. Because like it was fireworks all over the city in different areas, but not like the little sparklers that you got like in the hood or little Roman candles and stuff that people, just be firing off at each other. I'm talking about like professional fireworks. So it literally looked like the city was like lit up. And then when you go downtown, there was a lot of like color and just it was a lot of graffiti, but the graffiti was like artistic. Like it didn't look like some dingy like ghetto graffiti where you're like, damn, they probably should clean this up a little bit. It all looked like straight like professional artwork. And I was like, you know what, they have a lot of culture there. And unlike Orlando, where they just kind of suppress culture, where unless you're like in the LGBTQ, and they had an LGBTQ community and presence, but it wasn't like so overt, like how Orlando just paints everything and like panders to people, where they paint everything rainbow colored. And they're like, oh yeah, we have a community. Like, no, it's like the community was actually ingratiated into with everything else, including the black culture as well. So yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed it. I definitely want to go back, but
you ain't go to the Poke and Beans, huh? A little Haiti or nothing, did you?
No, I didn't. So I did go to this one spot called Morgan's Restaurant, which is it was a dope brunch breakfast spot. And I was like, and so they served some really good food and good service, and it was packed. It was hot, but I thoroughly enjoyed myself in Miami. I can't wait to go back, and I definitely want to try to set up something there in Miami for us to do. God willing.
Yeah, I mean, the speaking of with the art, I believe the art district in Miami is called Wynwood. They host the Art Basel every year, so that's pretty big. It's gotten big, and also just being progressive. Though I believe there were, if not the first city but one of the first cities to like accept Bitcoin citywide as a form of payment. So Miami's definitely trying to be ahead of the curve for sure. But I do have to ask, since we're talking about the pact and just everyone there having a wonderful time as they should. You know what I'm saying, on a scale of like Steph Curry, Kobe, Wilt Chamberlain, how many points did Corona put up in the series? How many points did Corona put up? I'm gonna say double no assists.
I'm gonna say the Rona did 47 40 point game, had some assists.
Okay.
And definitely some rebounds. People who was out there. Yeah, some folks that was in mask, especially at the bowl game. The bowl game, a lot of folks were in mask because it was a large gathering.
Mhm.
But nobody's wearing no mask at no beach. And I was too inebriated to really be looking at any mask at the booby trap.
Okay, you was just throwing it back.
I would be more concerned about pink eye at the booby trap than I would be the coronavirus. So it just didn't. But what did y'all do?
Well, they're saying the flu, COVID crime and I mean not COVID crime, but flu crime.
Omicron.
What is it?
Is it Omicron, right?
No, Omicron is a thing, but they're saying now because the flu is going around, they're calling it the flucaron or something.
Oh,
yeah.
Well, I'm hoping that I never experience the COVID ever again. But I try to be as precautious as I could. But yeah, I had a ball. Did y'all?
If y'all do,
I was working.
To say,
go ahead, Jay.
If y'all do want to head back to Miami, that's where they're gonna have the SWAC game this year. The rematch between Jackson State University and FAMU University is gonna be Labor Day weekend, September 4th, and the day before that, Bethune-Cookman University, which is also a HBCU, is playing the University of Miami, and it's gonna be at the Hard Rock Stadium.
So okay. So that's gonna be on Labor Day
weekend. Yes, Labor Day weekend.
I don't know if Alan may not. I'm ready. I don't know.
It's gonna be like that song that black on black.
Yeah. I'll be honest. I kind of swore off Miami for a very long time. It's just a lot going on, and I don't know. I could just taste the shallowness in the air. You know what I'm saying?
So what?
And I don't like parties and I don't like beaches. So, but I do want to make it down for Art Basel next year. I definitely want to check out Wynwood. So I definitely will be going. But
I think years ago, we tried to apply for credentials to Art Basel because you can actually cover it for an event. Yeah, and we didn't get approved that year, but that was a while ago. But we've done some other things, so hey, might as well. The worst they can do is say no. But I think what they told actually was what was cool about that is that they didn't just say no. What they said was that our platform doesn't do a lot in the art community. So who knows? By the time we don't talk art, we don't. There's nothing artistic as far as paintings and stuff. We don't do anything. We don't go to different festivals and stuff. So maybe that's something we need to up in our repertoire, to pad our portfolio so that we can go move forward. Miss Jesse, is Jesse there? I don't know. I think her thing might have
given out.
Yeah, but Jay, what did you do for New Year's Eve? Did you keep it low key? Did you hang with Noble?
Oh, for New Year's, I kept it low key. First of all, I was sick. Noble and I, we were both sick, and now we are kind of back to recovery or feeling a lot better, but we had a chronic cough and it was just bad.
It wasn't that thing though.
No, it wasn't Omicron. We both tested negative for COVID, and then I'm taking another test. Well, I took another test today so that I can get my results on Monday just to make sure, because you never know if you could take the test too early or too late, whatever. But so for New Year's, what did I watch? I think I binge watched this show called Sisters, which is a Tyler Perry production. And it's great. But yeah, for New Year's, I was chilling. I literally, as soon as it hit 12 o'clock, I think I was asleep by 12:05. I was not playing. I was just I'm just trying to stay up to 12 just so I could say I made it to 2022. And then when I close my eyes, I'm gonna leave the rest up to the Lord. So at that point, I went to sleep. It was 12:05, and yeah, I was just happy. I did not want to go out and do anything. I didn't want to go to the clubs. I just wanted to be next to Noble and just enjoy being in the house.
Just be.
Yeah.
No, that's dope.
I'm pretty sure I finished the bottle, but it was cool.
That's probably why he was ready to go to bed.
Correct.
My ass, I think, is that an older thing? Like, as you get older, when you drink, you just want to take a nap? Because I used to be, when I drink, I used to be like, yo, let's do it. Now I'm just like, let me go. I need somebody to put a fan on me and just let me just rock to sleep. Like, my
to be honest,
sleeping ass Negro when I drink now.
Listen, sometimes I drink just to go to sleep.
Little Ambien.
Yo, oh my goodness. Yo, moving on. Yo, let's go. I want to get into your story because I want to get Jay's perspective. And I really haven't heard anything about this podcast, but we're going to talk. This episode, we're talking chess, not checkers, right? We're talking about how the game is played. How are you going to play your game in 2022, making your power moves, manifesting your goals of what you want to accomplish. But there's been something on social media that Alan brought to my attention, and I saw people talking about this new wave of like anti-blackness on social media within the black community, of talking about black men kind of proclaiming about not dating black women, as if that is some sort of like, hear announcement. And Alan, you got a clip, and I know you're going to set it up and give me a little bit more detail, but let's talk about that.
Yeah, I mean, well, I do want to provide a little bit of pushback on that. I don't necessarily think it's a wave of black men stating that they don't date black women.
Who have podcasts. I meant to say that. Who have podcasts. We've seen more and more of this topic coming up on podcasts in a negative light.
Right. I mean, and I know that there has, as of this week, been a clip that's gone viral because of an incident that they had with the rapper Asian Doll. And, the internet detectives dug up an old clip from this podcast, which will remain nameless, and them stating that they do not date black women. I know TJ has the clip, and we'll actually pull it up. I did want, like I said, this disclaimer, it's something that I had brought up in jest to TJ, but I really don't like to give like this to shit like this, because I do think that it's part of the market employ. But we can have a little discussion for it once we run this.
All right. So let me go ahead and play the clip. And we're not saying with this podcast, I guess, I mean, we'll see. I haven't seen the clip, so this is going to be my first time. And then we'll also get your reaction to Jesse.
About a black dating app called Black. Oh, it's funny. I never used that one, bro. But hey, man.
I mean, hey, bro, if you want to date a bunch of Shaniquas, go for it, man.
LaQuisha.
Yeah. Like, me and Fresh aren't really down with the brown like that. Man. We ain't night riders.
Nah,
so
bro, I'm good.
Sometimes if they're, Redbone, but like in general, me and Fresh don't dabble in the dark, if you know what I'm saying.
Yep.
Okay. So last one, guys. Final
round.
Now, we're not going to mention names for certain reasons, right?
Yes.
For a bunch of legal implications. But if you guys are in our community, we talk about this extensively.
So, yeah, I mean.
Really? Okay, go ahead. Go ahead.
No, I'm kicking it to you. I don't want to spend too much time on this subject. I think it's, I'm very anti like talking about shit that you hate. So I'm not asking much.
I'm gonna get Jesse's take first. Jesse, you heard the clip, right?
No, I didn't. I was trying to put it on my phone, but I didn't hear it. So tell me what did he say?
So, dude, he look Arab. He don't look black himself.
I'm not 100% sure.
He look either
the dude on the right is definitely a dark skinned African brother. The dude on the left, I can't really say. He could be.
Yeah, he look racially.
Mixed people be looking. I mean, mixed people be looking like anything. So he could very well be black.
Yeah.
So what happened?
The gist of it is that he was basically talking about, I guess, a dating app and saying he don't date Shaniquas, and using a lot of old derogatory, I guess they would claim derogatory names, Shaniquas, Kiki, whatever. basically talking about black women, saying that him and the other dude don't dabble in the brown. They may date a red bone, but they don't really go over to the, they don't show love to the dark sisters, so to speak. So I'm gonna let the ladies rock and hear your take on that, and then I'll give my take.
I mean, my take is it sounds like a personal problem. He's missing out. He sounds ignorant, but I mean, I guess everybody has their preference. But he said the Shaniquas, like he said that.
Yeah.
That's so ignorant. That's so freaking ignorant. I don't have anything to say about this topic. You can toss it to Jay.
Jay, what do you think? Well, let me ask you a question, Jay. Do you think when you hear brothers proclaim or announce to the world, like either whether on social media or wherever it is, on a public platform, that they don't date black women, is that you as a black woman, is that something that is like highly offensive, or is this something where you just kind of like press on like and say fuck it?
Yeah, I mean, it's highly offensive. Especially not only from black people, but I mean for anybody to talk about, I mean, to just feel like they have to say out loud a certain color skin that they don't like, or I feel like it's honestly like the same thing as saying, I'll never date a person who has a disability. Like it's kind of it's just some things you just don't really have to say. You could just keep that conversation between you and yourself. But I really just think that the stereotypes, it's always going to be painful for black women. Any type of stereotypes when it comes to colorism, like it's never, but in order for it to stop, or for black men to start to recognize beauty in all of our skin complexions, however deep the melanin is, like you got to talk about it. So somebody have to be able to speak out about it and say it's offensive, or it's not cool. I don't know. Like I feel bad. I really do. Like I've never been considered dark skin, but I've never been considered light skin either. I've been considered, like, sometimes they used to call me red, or like a Dominican color, especially like if it's the hot summertime, and next thing you know, my hair start turning red or whatever and things like that. But I don't know how it would feel to necessarily like have darker skin and to feel like my skin was too dark. Like I just kind of feel like that. I'm not even going to try to take that away from somebody who's darker than me to say like, yeah, I totally can relate because blah, blah, blah. I mean, now what I can relate to, of course, is just being black in general and being a black woman. The fact that my skin is darker than a white woman is enough. And so to say that not only am I darker than a white woman, I don't fit in there, but now I'm too black to be black, it's just like a whole nother level of insecurities that can be created within like our own culture. And so it's disappointing.
Yeah. I think their commentary, and I'll be brief. I think their commentary goes beyond preference and goes even beyond interracial dating, right? And saying, hey, I date interracially, whatever. If you date interracially, more power to you. That's great. I do, whatever, right? But I will say this: if the reason that you're if you have to use Black women as an excuse as to why you're dating another race, then you have a deeply rooted problem with Black women that you really need to address on your own time. And that's what fucking therapy is for. Now, social media, when you start putting it on social media, that's where it becomes like the anti-Blackness, right? Because you are now trying to degrade a particular race of a woman in order to uplift other women and really buck dance for you. Like, you think you're going to get brownie points with white women because you say that you're trying to saying that you don't date the black women. That's really what that's for. That's some pick me shit. Like, that's some, hey, look at me. White and black women do it too when it comes to oh no, I'm down with the swirl and oh zaddy, whatever. All the people that do that shit is just on some pick me stuff. But then when your ass get in trouble, because you got to understand, we still live in a system of white supremacy. So when your card gets pulled and Becky or whoever, all she got to do is pick up the phone and say that your dumb black behind did XYZ to her. Then you want the community to come and run and to support your ass, and you want us to fucking march. You see what I'm saying? So if you want to date outside your race, date outside your race. But I think that's really corny to be out there and, well, I don't date. Well, because guess what? No other race is doing that. No other race of people is doing that. You don't see white men out there like, yo, I ain't fucking with these white women anymore.
Right. It's so lame.
And you don't see white women doing that either. Right. So a lot of these dudes, and we can go back into a slave narrative, Jay, and we can talk about how back in the slavery days, they looked at a white woman was viewed as master's prize. So when they came from the field to the big house, they were like, oh, I got to get me a white woman or a woman that's fair skinned, because it was a symbol of wealth and status. That's why you have a lot of black athletes now and actors who would date fair skinned, exotic looking, so to speak, quote unquote, women in the industry, because it's a way of symbol or status. But then you also have, on the other hand, someone like LeBron James, whose wife is black as it. Who's black and has black children and is wildly successful. So I don't think I think it's more of it's not about preference. If you gotta announce the shit, just date who the fuck you date. You know what I'm saying?
Right, but I guess the other thing is, like, do y'all, for people who say this, like, is it also a self-perception type thing? Like, if you think that all black women are ghetto and have these attitudes, anti-mama type stuff, do the black men who say that also think that way about themselves? Like, or do they think black men are different? Like, I'm saying, is it, what are we really, what are they really battling, or for anybody who hates their own race? Like, is it a self-perception thing? Like, do you also dislike you?
No, I think it's a more of an go ahead, Jesse.
No, just to piggyback off what she said, like, you have your family, they are the same race as you, the same race that you're claiming that you don't like, but that's your mom, that's your sister, that's your brother, that's your cousin, like, that's your friends. So I don't know. I just think there's
do you not like them either?
Like, go about, like you were saying, like.
But that's the case. But that's the thing, is that's why I say it's deeply rooted in some things that you need to go to therapy for, because something happened along the way where you looked up and you look at all black women as a monolith, where you look at them as a reflection or an extension of whether it's your sister, whether it's your mother, whether it's being rejected by black women when you was, because, I've seen like, people say, oh, it's just a preference. It's like, nah, I mean, I don't know. Like, a preference is like, I feel women who say, is like, I only date men who are over 6 feet, 6 foot.
And also, I would just like to say that men over 6 feet get beaten up all the time. Anyways, that's another conversation.
Men who are a certain way. Like, I used to, women used to say that in the dating scene, like, I've never dated it. Like, they used to think that, like, oh, I never dated a big guy. And I'm like, okay. Oh,
I feel like it could be a preference, but there's a way to, like, go about it where you're not putting black women down if it's white women that you don't like, where you're not putting your own race down. There's just a way to go about it, and the way you talk about it.
But
because at the end of the day, everybody does have their preference.
Can we just say something? And I'm gonna be real. when we talk about culture and we talk about standards of beauty, Black women are the standard. Like if you look at what's going on, especially when they talk with all the cosmetic surgeries and all these other different things, like Black people in general create the cool, right? And so Black women have always been envied by women of other races and been in, that's just been a thing historically in my estimation, right? Some people may disagree, but I think they're the standard. I think when it comes to whether it's beauty standards or being curvaceous or whatever, they've been they're been the standard and still are, right? You have Kylie Jenner and Khloe done try to create themselves as a whole Black woman, and you see what that's getting her. You see what I'm saying? Now you got people out here making public statements. I've never seen that. People making statements. I know we ain't trying to get into the Khloe Tristan Thompson thing, but we got people sitting there making public statements about infidelities and stuff like that. And you try to turn yourself into something that you're not. Like, we know what you're doing because you know what those men really want. But because of their own internal beliefs or their own struggles or self-hatred, I guess you could call it, it takes, and I'll be honest, it takes a lot to be with a Black woman. It does. Like it ain't for everybody. And it's not, and that's just being real. I mean, I've had that thought in my mind a lot of times that I felt like in the activism, political activism space, that I could never really consider myself to be a revolutionary because I'm not with a Black woman or married to a Black woman. You see what I'm saying? Because the first revolutionary act in trying to dismantle the system of white supremacy is the Black family. So if you are trying to, the system was designed to separate and divide the Black man from the Black woman, and you are dating outside of your race, then you can't really consider yourself a whole revolutionary. And I've dealt with that internally, and gone back and forth with that. But yeah, dudes who have to announce that stuff, that's what they're doing. It's just pick me, and then when they get picked and they get their card pulled, then they want everybody to come and help them out. But nonetheless, we good on that topic?
Yep.
All right, bet. Today, speaking of power moves, let's talk about, have y'all heard about the Antonio Brown situation?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, Antonio, for those who've been living under a rock or don't really frequent or watch sports, Antonio Brown, they call troubled NFL wide receiver, played for the Pittsburgh Steelers. From the Pittsburgh Steelers, went to the Oakland Raiders. From the Oakland Raiders, went to the New England Patriots. And from the New England Patriots, he winded up in Tampa Bay. Won a Super Bowl last year with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Allen's team, the Tampa. Is that your team? Allen's team, Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Yes.
Yeah.
Allen's got multiple NFL teams because he's also a Giants fan, but we're not going to talk about it.
Gang.
Yes. So, but yes, Antonio Brown apparently had an altercation while he was playing a game with the Bucs against my New York Jets, football Jets, and they were losing. And so Antonio Brown says he was cut from the team, and he proceeded to quit. And not only did he quit, he left and stripped down and went off the sideline and went to the locker room. So now lately there's some he said, she said about what's going on, whether or not Antonio Brown was really hurt and forced to play. And that's why that's why the Bucs told him to get out of there, because he refused to go back in the game. So since Antonio Brown has released a statement talking about why he basically saying that he was too injured to play, even though he played the week before. He said he was too injured to play, but he never quit on his team. In a statement, he said, "I cannot make football plays on that ankle. Yes, I walked off the field, but there's a major difference between launching from the sidelines and taking hits compared to jogging off the field with a rush of emotions going through my mind." So he has since been released And I do have a clip of what his coach said about it, because I want to ask y'all a question about Antonio Brown moving forward. But this is his former coach Bruce Arians, on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers releasing Antonio Brown.
So obviously that was the disturbing thing when we were looking for him to go back into the game. All right, we always had, he was very upset at halftime about who was getting targeted. Got that calmed down. Players took care of that. It started again on the sideline. We called for the personnel group that he had played in the entire game. He refused to go in the game. That's when I looked back and saw him basically wave off the coach. I then went back, approached him about what was going on. I ain't playing. What's going on? I ain't getting the ball. That's when I said, "You're done. Get the F out of here." And that's the end of it. And we're working on Carolina. That's the end of the story. And hopefully it ends today. You can't force a player to play. I mean, they have that choice. It's their body. And he decided to play. He and Mike both were on pitch counts. All right. And we were trying to manage that as best we could in the first half.
So I basically, here's what I think. Antonio Brown, this speaks to moves that we make in 2022. And this is why I like this story, right? Because there's different ways to look at this. Haven't we all wanted to do what Antonio Brown just did? And this is and I want to talk about it from a financial aspect, right? Because Antonio Brown had incentives, right? He could have made $1 million by the end of the season because he had contracting incentives based upon the catches or yards that he got, touchdowns. But when you feel disrespected or they tell you to get the F out of there, doesn't everybody really want to have the financial backing to just have that FU money and be like, all right, I'm out and bounce? Have you ever wanted to do that? Has anybody ever on the podcast ever just wanted to just be like, yo, chuck the deuces, I'm out of here, and play that move?
Of course. Anyone who's had a regular job thinks about that on a very regular basis.
Yeah. But he was in a financial situation to do it. But he also did something that was very telling. Because he has a reputation of getting into off-the-field issues, also getting a reputation of getting into it with coaching staff, management, his team, this dude had screenshots of conversations, because initially Bruce Arians said that he didn't know anything about his knee, his ankle, and didn't think that there was a problem on medical staff. So he went and got, his own, Antonio Brown went and got his own medical opinions from other doctors, got MRIs, right? And so this, to me, just speaks to when you're in a situation, you got to think moves ahead, right? And you got to cover your own ass, especially when you feel like people are trying to play you. Right now, granted, a lot of people talk about Antonio Brown and his mental health issues, and I'm going to talk about that too, because I do think he does suffer from some mental health problems, and he does need to get checked out. And Tom Brady actually alluded to that in a press conference. But I think when you make a move like how Antonio Brown did, you got to make sure you set yourself up for success for your next opportunity. And I think based upon Bruce Arians now basically cutting him from the sidelines, now he can always go back and say, oh, I handled it wrong. I shouldn't have stripped down. I was emotional, yada, yada, yada. But the fact that he had receipts that he was actually injured and hurt really put the team in a really bad and precarious situation. And so in 2022, when you're making moves, you got to get your ducks in a row and cover your own ass, especially if you know your reputation. So what do y'all think about Bruce Arians' comments and basically being able to be, Because that's what I looked. I was like, man, this is actually a bigger story about financial literacy, of having the option to say, you know what, I'm out. And a lot of us don't have the financial stability to do that. But I think it's telling in as far as the shift in people's mindset, where people are like, yo, I'm my own boss. If, you know, go where you're celebrated, not where you're tolerated. And clearly he was tolerated, if that.
Yeah, I mean, you know, with the story itself, is the common denominator is the head-on that they had on the field, right? Both of them, if nothing else, they both agreed that he was asked to go in the game, and he said no, and you know, that's when he ended up going off of the field. I think in a situation like this, it's another bigger lesson here is that your reputation precedes you, because anytime that you saw him walking off of the field, it's like, oh, that's AB being AB, because AB he's not even on his third strike. He's on his ninth at bat at this point. He's had 3 strikes 7 different times. So you don't get the benefit of the doubt when you drag your name through the mud for so long, right? So that, you know, of course, is one. 2, you know, in regards to some more information that came out earlier today, is that the AB and his agent went to the Bucs a couple of weeks ago and asked for them to just automatically guarantee the rest of his incentive, even though he hadn't hit it yet. And so they, you know, the Bucs declined it for obvious reasons. And I think that was where the dominoes started putting in place. He already started planting, you know, obviously the screenshots. He had already had his alibi if things went awry, I should say, in regards to, you know, him not being on the team anymore. And, you know, which is probably another story that came out between a couple of sources, is that he was complaining about his touches. But, you know, mind you, his ankle was banged up the last couple of weeks. So like Bruce Arians said, they were kind of taking it easy with how much they were playing him, had him on it. He said a pitch count. So, you know, you're only going to play but so much. But when you are asked to play and you know, you have a moment where you don't want to go in because you don't believe you're getting the amount of touches as a result of the injury that you're talking about, because you can't be on the field that long. You know, now we have contradicting. Now you know, AB, you look a little bit crazy too. You know, so I mean, it's a sad situation. I think that he's probably done enough to where another team will still take a chance on him just because of the whole ankle alibi. And I think that was the angle that he was going with, starting from a couple of weeks ago. And I also think that that's why they didn't cut him immediately. Also, another report came out from Adam Schaffner, who said, you know, Scheffner, that within the following days from the game, it was like, okay, well, you're saying that this is happening. They scheduled him a couple of meetings to get his ankle looked at again officially in New York, because they knew that he was in New York, and he just never showed up. So it was like, all right, well, if you're not going to work with us with the situation that you're saying you're having, then you know, that's why they finally just cut him today. So, but to your point, TJ, absolutely. I mean, when you have, they call it. I think it's called. I heard someone say even before this incident, like after a certain amount of money, is called like fuck it money. That at any point in time, you could just get up and say, fuck it. And, you know, AB has that. And he's had that for a long time. That's why he's been who he has been for a long time, right? So, you know, heavy is the hand who holds the coins.
I want to ask the lady something, right, about this situation. Say I'm your man, and I got a job. And I come home and tell you, hey, listen, coach was tripping. I left. And I also left $1 million on the table. What's your reaction? What's your initial reaction to that?
But wait, also, I'm sorry. Should we preface it that there's another $30 million or so in the bank?
Right. That's what I was gonna say.
Because
That's what I was gonna say.
It's a big difference. It's a big difference.
Right. So for me, it's like if we're already financially set, like literally set, like $30 million in the bank, where we can afford to just be like I'm done, then all right, like do what's good for you. But if we wasn't set and you turned down $1 million, like we have a problem here. There's gonna be a problem. But I think in his situation, like you guys said, like it's fuck it money. Like, you know, like he could just be like, fuck it, like I'm all set, so I don't have to deal with this. But I also feel like because of his platform and his spotlight, that he should have just went about it in a different way. And I don't know if he was trying to make a statement by leaving the way that he did. Because, like, I mean, we don't know what was happening in that moment that made him, coming from the video that I saw, he did that, like he's on the sideline and he did that out of nowhere. So I'm not sure what triggered him to act like that. But I just feel like as a professional, there's a different way he could have went about it, and he did go about it.
Well, the coach said he told him to get the fuck out of here. That's what the coach said. The coach told him to get the fuck out of here. He just left his own way.
Why?
Because he didn't want to get back into the game.
But you can get the fuck out of his face and go to the bench or go to the locker room and keep your shut up.
I mean, that could have been triggering to him, though. That could have been triggering to him. So, you know, like when you're triggered, you act like, being triggered can cause you to react in different ways that you wouldn't even know that you would have acted any other time. So by the coach saying that to him, that could have triggered his response. I do feel like he could have handled it more professionally, but you can't tell somebody how to act when they're triggered, with their triggers. You can't tell someone how to act. So I don't know what he was feeling in that moment. But like you guys said, it's just a sad situation all around. And hopefully, you know, he'll find peace and he'll go somewhere where he's wanted. And he got money. So for now, I guess he's straight.
I'm looking at what Giovanni just sent me. But Jay, I wanted to get your thought.
I feel like if my man came home and said I quit my job and he left $1 million on the table, I understand. I feel like I understand. Like especially if we are financially stable at that time. Because even in a relationship, like I've been in a relationship for a long time and we've had those conversations, like I've wanted to go to work even though I didn't feel good, and my significant other telling me, why are you putting your job before your health?
Correct.
And me, you know, I'm telling him like, well, I work for somebody, so I feel like I have to do that. Whereas more people who are like entrepreneurs and they have their own job, you kind of can say, well, I'm going to sit back today because I don't feel well. But when you're in a situation like Antonio Brown, where, you're making a lot of money, but you're still not your own boss, you still feel like I have to show up. And I felt like that day, Antonio Brown was just like, I'm not showing up for the Bucs today because I'm in a lot of pain. I can't show up for y'all. And so, and if you can't understand that, especially I'm in pain and then you cussing me out, I'm gonna go off. I might snap. I might throw a chair, you know, I might get my helmet, throw it on the ground. Everybody reacts in different ways. And I feel like regardless if he has mental health problems or not, we express things differently. And every time somebody gets angry, it doesn't always have to be a mental health issue. It's like, no, I'm mad as hell. And I just want to be able to express it. Like, I want to be able to express it. Yes, he should have not done that on the field. But sometimes I just like, the world would really be a messed up place if everybody actually expressed how they really felt sometimes when they get angry. Like if every time you got angry, you really, you know, punched a hole through a wall or broke a bottle. Like, the world would really be a messed up place. But you know, every now and then it's going to be outbursts. Something's going to happen. Somebody's actually going to show their true feelings. And I feel like we got a clear example of what it is like to be a human being on the football field with broken parts in your ankle, and, you know, and you're upset about it. And he just, you know, it is what it is. He snapped.
You know what it is? You know what this also speaks to is that talent can trump any sort of drama. Because Antonio Brown has had drama for years in the NFL. He had drama in Pittsburgh with Juju Smith-Schuster when Juju Smith-Schuster was given a team award. Antonio Brown felt like he should have got it and got upset and was disgruntled, was videotaping the coaches in the locker room, videotaped the coach in the locker room giving a speech. Then that was released. Coach was like, well, we're not going to penalize ourselves. So they let that slide. Then he wanted out. Then he got out of Pittsburgh. Then he went into the Oakland Raiders. And I'm not excusing Antonio Brown for wanting out of the Oakland Raiders because we see the mess that they're in, and especially with the coach, John Gruden, that was just accused of all that racism. So maybe that situation wasn't the best. The Las Vegas Raiders, maybe that situation probably wasn't the best situation for him to be in the first place. And maybe he really did need to get out there. That was a blessing in disguise because the whole thing could have really blew up even more so or imploded more so than it did with the Las Vegas Raiders as it is. I mean, he also, had his brief stint in, New England, but the common denominator is that he keeps getting chances because he's talented. But, and people are willing to, and people do this, whether it's in careers for jobs or whether it's in relationship. If you are providing a service, if you are talented, or in some women who are, we talked about preferences and stuff, are beautiful, whatever, there are certain attitudes, there are certain things that people will put up with you because of your ability and what you can do for them, right? He can provide a service. That's why they put up, the Bucs never wanted Antonio Brown on the team. Tom Brady wanted Antonio Brown on the team. And Tom Brady had leverage because Tom Brady is what? Talented. And so this goes in as we segue into, our goals for 2022. And we talk about manifestation. It's like, what are your talents? What is going to separate you from the pack? No matter what field that you're in, what is it that is going to? And I'm talking to you, Soapboxx Nations. Make sure you follow us, Soapboxx Podcast. That's Soapboxx Podcast with two X. We're talking manifestation of goals and how you're going to play. How you're going to play the game in 2022. I don't know how y'all are planning on playing the game, but I actually said that I was going to go for the gusto this year and not be denied. But saying it is one. Well, you got to speak your goals and speak things into existence. But it's the work that you put into it that's going to actually get you over the hump as far as your goals and making sure that you obtain your goals. And I think this topic came into my mind because when I was at the gym, I saw a lot of people who are starting off, right? And, when you see people starting off, there's a lot of people that really don't know, either find their way. I had that. I tried to find my way. There's times where you just ain't got it or whatever. But, there was someone who was on a rack, like a squat rack that I needed. And dude was just on his phone. And I just... I didn't feel comfortable going over and be like, yo, when are you going to be done? Blah, 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 blah. And it was just like, but somebody else did. And then he just left. Right? Because I guess whether he was intimidated, whether it's, he was just kind of on his phone, not really doing much. He just left. And I thought about that because I was thinking about it for the last, couple of days. And it was just like, if you're not working on your goals, and you're not working on your craft, if you're not trying to attain your goals, then to me, I use it as a metaphor. Someone's just going to tell you just move out the way. And they're going to go ahead and just do the work that you was supposed to be doing. And they're going to really capitalize on your gift, capitalize on your opportunity, right? And so I want to talk with the crew about ways in which you plan out to achieve your goals in your personal lives or professional lives. What are some tips? What are some things that you do to help you become more successful, or the trajectory from being more successful? I'll toss that to anybody.
Well, I'll just have a quick, the philosophy, the 5 Ps, proper preparation prevents poor performance. So that's really all it is just laying the groundwork to make sure that you're ready for whatever your goal is, and you're working towards that every day. And then, a theme that I always kind of say is just start. I mean, the hardest thing is starting. You can overthink yourself out of never starting, and you can overthink and over prepare, and then look up X amount of months later and have done nothing because you're trying to figure out the right time. Just start. Just as soon as you break ground, that'll be the sooner you break ground, the sooner you can get to your goals. So.
Do y'all write lists? Jay, I know you journal. Do you write lists? Do you how do you do that?
Yeah, I'm big on the list.
Okay.
I'm really big on categorizing things. That usually helps me because what I realize, like in my process of trying to excel in life, which if you're like most humans, every time we excel at something, we want to continue and to excel or do better. So first we set a goal, and I want to be able, when we're 17, 18, 21, whatever, I want to be able to can't wait for me to make $30,000. And then when we hit 25, oh, I just can't wait to make 40,000. Oh, when we're 30, 35, oh, I need to be making 6 figures. And so I feel like for 2022, I kind of had to tell myself, like, even if I didn't get here, what would be enough to still keep me happy? And so now I have on my journaling thing is my what makes me happy 2022 list. And it's not a financial goal this season, at least for this time. It's more so like the fact that I was stressed. Why was I stressed? Well, some of that stress came from not being organized. Okay, so maybe organization may really be the bigger issue than it is your content, or you feeling like you aren't meeting your goals. Maybe you just need to get organized. And so really, like, what I've really been what I'm doing now, my strategy is I'm trying to find the problem, or what I think is a problem, and then figure out the root of that problem and how to help that problem. So if I'm overwhelmed but I also want to reach a goal, but I'm overwhelmed. And it's just like, okay, well, how can you reach that goal? By reducing some of the stress if you've been overwhelmed. Okay, so what's causing you to be overwhelmed? I'm parenting too much. I'm not having enough self-care. And so then, just kind of breaking it down, figuring out like that. So I feel like for the Soapboxx Nation, a strategy from Giovanni, what I like to do is to literally put titles above whatever that part of your life that you're working on. So if it's goals, then you have your goals here. If it's personal or character things, you have your personal character things here. If it was mental things that you were going through, you have your mental things here. And so you're not and then you also try to create that pyramid for your life to where like at the bottom of my pyramid, it might be my job this year. At the top of my pyramid, it may be me. And me falls into my mental goals. Okay, so what can I do to help me mentally? And I'm able to go back and I'm able to look, okay, well, this is what you're saying you need to work on, blah, 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 blah. If it's like the career goals, which is at the bottom of my list, maybe. Well, it's really not at the bottom of my list, but I'm just saying, if it's at the bottom of my list, then I'm not gonna put so much emphasis and pressure on it in this season as much as I did last season. Because last season, my job was at the top of my pyramid. I was at the top of my pyramid. Noble was at the top of my pyramid. The Soapboxx Nation was at the top of my pyramid. The Florida Channel was at the top of my pyramid. And now I'm realizing, like, okay, if you have this pyramid, on this side, you're saying you're overwhelmed, and on your pyramid, you have everything at the top. Well, maybe that's why you was overwhelmed. So how can you kind of like break this down And so you can work on the other side where you're saying you're overwhelmed and all this type of stuff. So yeah, whatever you need to do, circle graphs, pyramids, boxes. I even did a tree. I even did my fruit tree this year to where was I bearing fruit and where was there no fruit on my tree or
I've never heard of that.
Yeah, so I have a couple of, I don't know, maybe this was like in December, earlier in December. What I did was I did 2 trees. Actually, I did 3 trees, but I really focused on 2. One tree was the fruit the fruit that I got because it was given to me from like my family members or whatever. And on that tree, it could be good fruit or bad fruit. So it could be your parents were loving, caring, da 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 da. However, they also bore fruit where nobody was financial literate or nobody has an educational background or, they don't have a house yet. And so then you draw your own tree and you do the same thing. Where's your fruit? Where do you see yourself? Like you said earlier, where are you really growing? What are your talents? Where do you feel like you're really bearing a lot of fruit? And then what else do you not have? Or the fruit that maybe you got from your family that you don't want, you don't need that fruit on your tree anymore. So yeah, y'all should do the tree and the fruits.
I've never heard of that, but I definitely would talk to you more about that. Jay, I mean, just say I wanted to, because I know for our women on the show, y'all have kids, you have careers, and then just say you're doing your content creating, and now you're hosting because you're hosting other shows and stuff like that. So when you look in 2022, how do you find your work-life balance? Because I know a lot of women, a lot of men struggle too, but women have to really up the ante, especially when you have kids. How do you find time to balance things out so that you can attain and reach your goals that you set for yourself for the year?
I mean, basically, I try to prioritize like what's important on that day. So for example, I have a show that's coming up on the 22nd, and I've been preparing for
January?
it. And that's something that, yeah. Okay. So that's something that's like on the top of my list when it comes to priorities. But like when you say like work-life balance, I also I have the kids and then I have work. So it's like in a day, it's like, okay, how am I going to do this? What am I going to put first? What am I going to put last? And so I just basically take it day by day. So in the morning, like I'll wake up and I'll plan out my day. So I know that I'm going to have to work from home and then I'm going to have the kids and then I'm going to make time to prepare for what I have to prepare for. And even if that means like, okay, I'm working my 9 to 5, I'm doing what I need to do with my 9 to 5. And because I have the luxury of working from home, I'm doing what I need to do with the kids. So that way at the end of the night, everything is all set and I can focus on my show. And it's not easy because, like, trust me, a lot of things are very unpredictable, especially when you have kids. So you can plan, but sometimes your planning doesn't go the way you expected. But I feel like if you already prioritized to have a task done and you make it your priority, then no matter what time it is, like you get it done. And that's just how I've been doing it, because like last year when I've had my shows, like I wasn't really doing that. It was like, all right, I'm going to do what I need to do. And then if I have time, then I'll do it. And then the next day would come and I didn't have time and I wouldn't do it. And then the next day would come, I didn't have time, I didn't do it. And then when the show came, it's like I literally had like 2 days to prepare and it was like, this isn't it. Like I can't do this to myself. So I feel like if little by little every day I'm like putting time into like what my goal is, then when the time comes, at least I'll be prepared. So it's like, preparation, but like little by little and not putting so much pressure to like get everything done in one day, but just like planning ahead.
So just say you wake up in the morning. You wake up in the morning and then you plan your day in the morning before you start your job.
Yep, I'll do that. Or like at nighttime, like because my baby has been going to sleep like super late. Like I'll just be there hanging out with him, and like I have my notes in my iPhone, and I'll just like write down everything that I want to do for the next day, and then like I'll check my notes in the morning, and I'll be like, okay, this is what I'm gonna do, and that's how I like plan my days, and it's been working for me. And like I said, like there's some days, like one of my kids was like sick, so that kind of messed something up on one day, but I still knew like what I needed to get done. I still knew what was on the top of my priority list. So I make sure that if there's 3 things that are on my priority list for that day, that I get that done. Like that will be my priority. If there's something like, for example, if I want to create content, but that's not on my priority list, then if I can't get it done that day, I don't get it done that day. I'll with the next day, but it will still be on my list, just not on my list of priorities. But I'll make sure that whatever I have on my priority list that day gets done.
You know what?
Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead, Jay.
No, I was just getting ready to say that I started to do that last year, like where I would just focus on that day. If it's Monday, literally the only thing I'm just gonna celebrate is the fact that if I was able to do something on that little checklist, like if I could do it, so I could say, great job, you did that, you really did that, great job. So yeah, I think that strategy, as far as like finishing a task for the day or the week, take it a day at a time, I agree. That works. But also I feel like you have to see it, right?
What was that?
Like you have to, like, do you have for y'all, can y'all remember what y'all need to do in your head, or do you have to see it? Because I have to see it. I
typically remember what I got to do in my head because I have anxiety and I'm usually sleeping and thinking about it and being restless about the things that I have to do the next day. And my body really can't relax until I start accomplishing the things that are in my head swirling around. I'm a night owl typically. So I'm up thinking all the time about things that I got to do, things that I got to plan. What's the next step? What's the next move? I'm constantly thinking. I'm constantly writing. One thing I did want to ask you, because I know there's people who are listening or will listen to this podcast and they'll say, okay, you talk about manifestation of goals. Okay, everybody's got goals. Everybody wants to write things down or whatever. But who gonna help me with this shit? Right? We all talk about balance and we all talk about wanting to achieve the goals, but you know, sometimes it's not always great to share your goals with everybody. So how do y'all decipher whether or not, okay, this is a goal that I need help on. I need help with the kids in this aspect or help in my career in this aspect. But then on this aspect, I got to keep this to myself because I want to make sure that I accomplish it and not have everybody like all eyes on me. And then if I don't do it, then people looking at me some type of way. I know some people got New Year's resolutions that are personal to them and then others that are broadcasting on social media. So how do y'all find that balance between help and really digging in and saying, yo, I got this on my own? Because it's a struggle for me.
It's a struggle.
And that's why I wanted to bring it up to you all to see if you guys have any, whether it's any tips or what do y'all do in this situation? Because I typically don't share. I don't like sharing my moves, right? If we play the game, I don't like sharing the things that are ahead, especially, I mean, it's different when you got a team of people and they're counting on you. So you kind of make sure you're communicating and keeping people in the loop. But there's a lot of things in my life that I do or go through or have or that I'm working on that you kind of keep close to the vest until the time, because I'm always of the school of thought of people don't want the labor pains. They just want the baby. They just want the pictures. They just want the celebration. They just want, they want to see you at the end result. You see what I'm saying? They don't necessarily, there's not too many people that you got in your camp. And if you do got them, that you're a blessed somebody that's willing to just be in the foxhole with you. You see what I'm saying? While you're going through the process to accomplish your goals. And sometimes that can be discouraging to some folks. So a lot of folks just say, you know what, I can just do bad all by myself and just kind of keep it close to their vest. Anybody else feel like that, or do you guys have a different approach when it comes to goals and making moves?
I mean, I get what you're saying. It sounds like you're. Wait, I don't want to say like the wrong way, but it sounds like you have like trust issues, like when it comes to like, you know, putting yourself out there with certain
the
people.
clinical term would be abandonment
Not in a bad
issues,
way.
trust issues, yeah, something like that.
So like maybe like in that case, like you can find like a support group of like people who are doing like the same things and just seeing like how they strategize and like how they work towards that goal, just to, you know, get insight, I guess, from them, or just to talk to them about what you're doing, and then hear what they're doing, and then like you could piggyback off of each other. I don't know if that's something.
I don't think it's more, and I would say this, I don't think it's a trust issue thing. I think it's having control and power over your own dominion, right? And saying, look, if I do it, then I can live with the result. You see what I'm saying? It's all on me. And I kind of like that pressure in my life. Like, yo, I got to grind. I got to do it. Because if I give the responsibility to somebody else and it doesn't come out, or the outcome is not what you want it to be, then you're like, I should have did it. And if I did it, we probably would have had a different outcome. You see what I'm saying? So it's like you want to be there, and then,
you can oversee like what they're doing.
Yeah,
you have to be part of that process. So if like you give somebody the responsibility to do something, to help you with something, then you have to just make sure that you're like overseeing what they're doing. And if there's something within that process that you don't like, or, you know, you need to tell them that, and then like you guys work together. So I feel like it's working with somebody that you can trust, who's going to see your vision, believe in your vision, and work with you without getting offended. So I think it all comes down to like having the right person or the right people on your team. Because if you have the right people on your team, then you can talk to them about anything. And if they believe in your vision, they're going to help you work towards that at the end of the day.
And you brought up my point. That's why I brought that up, because I wanted somebody to say that. The caveat to the manifestation of your goals, right? Nobody's accomplishing shit by themselves. And I brought that up perfectly because I wanted somebody to bring it up.
Third time.
Nobody in 2022, you're not accomplishing your goals, or you may have little goals, but in order for you, right? And we talked about this for our kickoff for New Year's, right? Of getting to the next level and just kind of going for the gusto and really not holding back, and just, you gotta have the people you have around you. And we're talking about the different story. Like, look at the Antonio Brown situation. Look at the stuff that we've been talking about. The people you have around you fucking matter. Like, it's one of those things where the old adage is like, if you show me your friends, I'll show you how far you're going. Like, who you're linked up to. Like, for instance, your habits are a clear indication of your results, right? Like, you know, even when I was talking about, like, you know, fitness or your weight loss or whatever, it's like, if you're not working out, if you're not eating right, even some of the things that I do when I slack off or whatever, still now, it's like, yo, you're not working hard enough. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're not putting in the work. The thing I like about the gym is that it's fair, right? The work you put in is going to produce the results you get. Alan, you know that. You see what I'm saying? So also put that same type of mindset into your career, into your personal life, and and also be very keen to the associations that you're making, because when you talk about manifesting your goals, or you're going on any journey, it's hard to fucking backpack, you know, across the way on some manifest destiny shit. It's really hard to do that. So you got to put, if it's not people on your team, like your relatives or your friends, you got to be prepared. And that's what we talked about, staying ready. So my advice to Soapboxx Nation, you got to be prepared for the unlikely resource or connection. Because oftentimes when you try to create or try to accomplish a goal, it's heartbreaking, right? Like, we noticed, because we started a podcast where you start reaching out to people who you think, oh, they're going to be down for me. Oh, they're going to help me, right? And whatever you're doing. And then next thing you know, they kind of flake. People don't share. People don't like. People don't, support you as much as you think that the people who you want or that frequent, whether it's your social media or your circles, don't support you as you think that they should, right? And this goes for anything and everybody, right? Everybody goes through this. People in business, Black-owned businesses go through that, right? But, and not to get spiritual or biblical, I firmly believe that God will put the right people in your way or in your path on your journey if it's ordained for you to accomplish. Now, if your goal is like, yo, me and Halle Berry just going, we gonna get married, and that's like that's one thing, right? Like I'm still, there's Tessa Thompson dreams, and we're still touching and agreeing for Mr. York and Miss Good to finally reconnect. Maybe they will be in Miami. Maybe that's why he don't want to go back, because it's heartbroken because of Miami. That's another show. But when you accomplish your goals, you got to be prepared for the unlikely hookup. Because sometimes we're so looking for the right connection. We're looking for the connection the way we want it, and not necessarily the connection of how, what we really need that's going to help us, right? So, I mean, I would just say this as we wrap this section up, and I'll get y'all take on it. It's just be open to new connections on your journey to manifesting your goals and accomplishing your goals. Because sometimes we can be so closed off, like, I don't want to talk to him. I don't think there was a connect I just got, and I did research, and I'm like, oh, this is one of those MAGA dudes. These one of these anti-maskers, anti blah blah blah. It looked like a MAGA person, right? And it's like, and my first initial reaction was, nah, I'm gonna be over here, right? And I'm not gonna associate, or they're not gonna associate me. We're not gonna get. But it's like, you can find in business, or in trying to get to your goal, you can find some commonality to get what you need and to progress yourself and keep it pushing and moving forward, right? So I will just say this: just don't cut off your nose to spite your face. Be open to getting connections and help people, being able to receive help, like Jesse alluded to, being able to receive help from like-minded individuals, but also unlikely, imperfect allies, so to speak. And I'm gonna let y'all go. Alan, you got something to say?
No, well put.
Yeah.
Well,
Jay?
this is the third time that I have heard bits and pieces of what you're saying. So I definitely think it's a message to myself as well. What you were saying about the control, I do have to give up some control. I'm very like, everything has to be perfect before I go about it, or not even everything has to be perfect, because I'm really not a perfectionist, I don't think, or at least I'm recovering from that. But anyways,
Yeah.
So like, I just like to know. I like to be in the know. Like, hold up. If I tell you what will happen, I'm always thinking like ahead. Like, okay, so if I tell this person my business, to what degree, what benefit is going to have. So my advice to you, TJ, is like Jesse say, you got to be able to trust people, but also to what you were saying, like, you only need to be telling people about what you're doing, etc., if there is a benefit to it. That's how I feel. That's how I'm going into 2022. If it's going to be beneficial, like, I'm going to open up to you and tell you this, because either I need to get it off my chest because I don't have anybody else to tell, and I feel like you're a trusted friend. Cool, I could tell you. I'm telling you because I think that you can help me. All right, cool. I'm telling you. Or I'm telling you because I think that's the only two. Either I need to get it off my chest and I need somebody to trust, or
Was it the military says,
telling,
lead me, follow me, get the hell out the way? That's
maybe.
I think that's
I don't know. I never heard that
a
one.
military saying.
Well, if that's the saying, then I think go with it. Like, I'm really not big on telling my business either. Never been that way. Like, I'm very just kind of like, I want to handle it, I'll take care of it type thing.
Yeah.
But it has been really heavy on my heart. God has really been placing it heavy on my heart to allow people to help me. And to just like be okay with being human. Like, even if you tell somebody your goals and you don't fall through with it, oh well. Like, if they try to beat you down about you not accomplishing something, now you know not to ever tell that person again. But sometimes, you know, you're not going to figure out who you really can trust and who's for you and who's against you if you don't test them in the water and in certain situations. So, you know, we put people through tests whether we know it or not. But yeah, like I definitely believe that you cannot do things alone. You're not going to win battles or anything by yourself. And so that's one of my goals this year, is to get help, rely on people to help me manage things and keep my business afloat, whatever it is that I need, whether it be a nanny or somebody to clean my house. I don't know, but it's just like, don't be afraid to use resources where they are needed. So I'm about to be a bougie mama 2022. I'm not doing all that cooking all the time. I'm gonna get help from the restaurants because the food is already cooked.
You said no, but get a hot pocket. I said get a hot pocket.
Like, I'm so serious. I'm gonna get, you know, whatever management help. It doesn't matter, but yeah, that's really good. We're gonna try to open up a little bit more with the trust part. So I'm with you on that, TJ.
Indeed. Listen, before we wrap, I just want to just say, did you know today is an anniversary?
It's our anniversary.
Do y'all know it's the anniversary of the January 6th Capitol insurrection? Oh my! It has been 1 year. Let's talk about it, ladies and gentlemen.
I'm about to have a panic attack. Because education in this country is about white is right, brown's all right, black. This is our country.
Listen, the incident at the Capitol insurrection that basically created that segment of Sounds About White. Yes, it has been a full year since these suspected white supremacists and Trump supporters and all their glory went to the Capitol and stormed the Capitol to potentially overthrow the election and the government in a domestic terrorist act. So we had President Joe Biden, and this is 2022, so we're getting back into the swing of things, and it's an election year. President Joe Biden had these remarks, and I have not listened to these remarks because I wanted to hear them live. So this is his remarks on the Capitol insurrection, the anniversary of the Capitol insurrection.
I believe the power of the presidency and the purpose is to unite this nation, not divide it, to lift us up, not tear us apart. See, about us, not about me. Deep in the heart of America burns a flame, lit almost 250 years ago, of liberty, freedom, and equality. This is not a land of kings or dictators or autocrats. We're a nation of laws, of order, not chaos, of peace, not violence. Here in America, the people rule through the ballot, and their will prevails. Here in America, the people through the ballot.
I don't know. Y'all hearing the playback on that? All right.
We hear
so who's that? Hold on. Yes, President Joe Biden gave his remarks, and all I got to say is, my man, let's unite. And let's talk about these student loans. You're supposed to be canceling student loans, not talking about like we ought to. Why you always want to be together when it's unless it's something about my financials, whether it's reparations or whether it's talking about canceling all student loan debt. Nobody has been paying student loans for almost a year now. I think coming up on a year, and the country has not gone bankrupt yet. Today would have been a perfect opportunity to say, hey, we're going to cancel all student loan debt. So, Joe Biden, it's just more of the same, but of the president talking, out of his neck and basically doing the political posturing of blaming Trump, blaming the division. But, you got to, the people that roll for you, we're still waiting for some of those things that you promised, right? Correct. And so the Capitol insurrection, folks. There's a term in chess, right? I'm not a big chess player, still a novice, still trying to learn, but it's called an passant, right? And in the game of chess, it's a move, right? And that move in the game of chess means it's a special move where it's a pawn capturing move. And when I thought about that, and what I read about in Passant, which is a move in chess, I thought about the Capitol insurrection. It was a special move of capturing a bunch of pawns. And because that's all these suspected white supremacists were, these domestic terrorists were pawns in the overall game of white supremacy. Now, people will say, well, they didn't really get too much time, and they didn't, the system of white supremacy, they'll let you have a few. But what they wanted to show, the grand scheme of the Capitol insurrection, they wanted to basically show in the system of white supremacy that this is their country and that overt racism is here to stay. That's really what that was about. It's just showing the power. It was a power move to show, hey, we no longer want to be in the shadows. This is how much we think we own, not just Black folks or people who have melanin in their skin, but we think we own this dang country. It's so much so that we will take over the Capitol, and try to overthrow the government and get law enforcement assistance. But the pawns went first. And so I implore everybody to really understand what happened at the Capitol. It's not about, oh my goodness, it was a shock and awe thing. It was white supremacy playing the long game, because if you look, not much has changed. There's more overt racism going on now, and they're ramping it up. We live in Florida. We already know what time it is when it comes to the racism that's ramping up when it comes to laws and stuff like that. Yeah, we've had some victories, as some judicial victories, which was some overt killings of Black folks. But yet still, the president that everybody has put in there, as far as Black folks, from a majority of our votes went to President Joe Biden, has not done anything to give us reparations, has not done anything to protect Black people from being killed with impunity, and has not, for the young voters, has not given any thought or really any real moves to cancel all student loan debt, except continue to extend the deadline. I'm not complaining about that, but you're extending the deadline when you can cancel it. So, this is, like I said, the name of this podcast is Chess, Not Checkers. And so I'm just telling everybody, the white supremacists played the long game. And even though they had some of their pawns get captured and run and get arrested or get some jail time or prison time, please don't think that in this next election year that the Democrats aren't positioning themselves for a world of hurt because of the inactivity that they're doing in their positions of power for the people who got them elected in the first place. And so if you really want to make a power move, the power move is in the play and in the results. The demand is there, and power concedes nothing without a demand. And so if you don't adhere to the demands, well, then you will have a people overthrow, and the same people that you have been inactive for will also be inactive at the polls and not come out to support you because of your own inactivity. You see how that works? So playing the long game of this chess game, politics is a dirty game. I hope that Democrats get on their horse and that we can get some things done for the American people, because as it stands right now, those Capitol insurrectionists, they let their pawns, but they still got their kings and their queens in their rook. They're still playing their board. And so Democrats, you're running out of moves and you're running out of support, and I'm hoping that they get it together. So I just wanted to touch on that. Does anybody else wanted to touch on the insurrection or how you remember the insurrection?
No.
No.
Still talking about the punks.
Word. And we had Red 5 Golf said January 6, 2021 was a guided tour with a few weirdos. Right.
I
You're
agree.
absolutely right. And shout out to you tuning into the Soapboxx Podcast. Appreciate y'all. Hey, Soapboxx
And it was a
Podcast-
big
I
deal
remember
because
It was. Go ahead, Jesse.
it was.
No, let Jay go first. I'll go after.
No. I just wanted to say yes, it was a big deal because there are some headlines trying to downplay it, of course, and it was a big deal. People died.
And the people died.
You're right.
Yep. And,
Sure.
and unfortunately, people died, and the ones who got arrested were pawns in the game, and they were willing pawns in the grand scheme of white supremacy, in the grand scheme of ideology when it comes to conservatism. But with that being said, hey, let's hit it for the first one of 2022. It's our moral of the story, ladies and gentlemen. Let's see. Who am I? I'm in my man A. All right. I know we got late because I know ladies, y'all gonna have some heavy thoughts, some heavy hitters. Not saying Alan is not, but hey, hit us off, kick us off. The first 2022 moral of the story. What's your moral of the story, my man?
So my moral of the story is something that I remembered while Jesse was speaking in regards to kind of like consolidating and making sure her goals were being met on a step-by-step basis. So there's this proverb, this African proverb that I heard a couple of years ago that always stuck with me. It said, "What is the easiest way to eat an elephant?" And the answer to that is the easiest way to eat an elephant is piece by piece, right? You can't put a whole elephant in your mouth, pause. And so it's not going to happen in one sitting. But piece by piece, you can feed yourself gradually. So that's my moral of the story. Just remember, you don't have to take it all at one time. You still can't finish. Just be tactical. So piece by piece is how you finish the elephant.
Yo, Alan said you don't have to take it all in one time. Just take it piece by piece and just be practical. That is for the Valentine's Day show. But also today in January, it is some good food that he just gave us and a good gem that you gave us. Shout out to you, A. Jesse, what is your moral of the story, ma'am?
My moral of the story is basically, piggyback what everybody said. Slow and steady beats the race. You don't have to rush to get everything done in one day or 1 month or even 1 year. Take your time, work towards your goal, and eventually you'll get there. Just make sure you have the right people on your team.
Word. Miss Giovanni, welcome back. Glad to have you. Always appreciate your insights. You and as well as Alan and Jesse are a vital part of this team. Glad to have you back. What is your moral of the story?
Yes, happy 2022 once again, Soapboxx Nation. My moral of the story is to think about what you want and why you want it. Also, just to take time to consider your feelings and the reasons behind your decisions. I think going into 2022, it's going to be a lot different because it's going to be a lot different for you if you don't base your life off of what you see on social media, but start doing the things in your life based off what you see in your own life. And I think your life is going to grow and change tremendously. So my moral of the story is that, think over what you want and why you want it, and take some time to yourself.
Word. And my moral of the story is, now it works. Oh, okay, there we go. Now the little rebranding and all that other good stuff that I worked on hard, slaved over. Okay. My moral of the story is this. The results in your life come from the preparation and not the outcome. So, in everything that you do, put the work in. When you think you're working hard, you're not working hard enough. Sometimes you got to grind and just shut everything out, shut the noise out, get yourself a routine. And when you do that, results will come. And the world and life, I believe, is balanced. I believe it's fair, and people will come out, and your outcome will come out based upon the work that you put in. Shout out to Soapboxx Nation. He says, blessed 2022, Soapboxx Nation. You're damn right. We are here. We are live. We are in full color, full effect. We're doing some different things in 2022, trying to do some rebranding, all the good stuff, keeping it fresh and sexy. Thank y'all for rocking with us, Soapboxx Nation. Follow us, Soapboxx Podcast with 2X. So, for the first time in 2022, let me see if I can do this right. For Alan, for Jess Giovanni, for Jesse, this is the Soapboxx Podcast. We're here. We ain't going nowhere. We're here. We out.
Anything. Tell them what we talking about. Anything. Tell them what